Being an active listener is one of the most essential tools that you can have to build relationships. It really is the only way that you can understand another person's perspective. But it doesn't come naturally, and it's not so easy to do.
But you can develop the skills. So in this series, we are going to delve into the science as well as give you some actionable tips and tricks that you can use to be a better listener.
Join us for the Power of Listening series. Hello everyone! If you are watching this video, then you know this is video number 6 in the Power of Listening series, where we help give you the tools and the understanding to be a better active listener. Now, in the last video, we helped you understand that judgment that gets in the way and why it's so important to have a curiosity mindset. Well, in this video, we're going to dive much deeper into the curiosity mindset and why it's so important.
Our curiosity is usually the most piqued when we are listening or reading a good story. We've all had one of those books that we pick up, and as we're reading through, we become so engrossed that it's a complete infatuation. You can't do anything. Nobody is cooking dinner, caring for the kids, your spouse can't speak to you. You are all in reading whatever the book is that you have chosen. Why is it that our entire brain becomes so captivated by stories?
Well, you just said it. Our entire brain actually gets activated when we are listening or reading or find a good story. Storytelling alone activates the entire brain. That's right. And when you're listening to an amazing story, you have a bunch of chemicals that are released. So you have cortisol, dopamine, oxytocin, wah, 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 right? Why is this so important? Well, it is incredibly important. Cortisol is the reason why we remember things. You know, so if I tell you to read a great story and you're all excited about it, and I ask you, tell me about the story, you can usually remember, the main characters, the plot, the ending, the highs and the lows of the entire story. Now, remember back in school? I know, sorry for the memories. But those assignments where you have to read a really boring book and then you have to remember the characters, the plots, the highs and the lows, it takes a lot more effort for you to try to remember those things, if you can even remember them at all. I was really bad at that. And this is because you don't have that cortisol being released by a good story. So when you have a great story that you're listening to, cortisol will help you to remember the story. Now, dopamine, we are familiar with dopamine. Dopamine is that reward center. It is that good job, way to go, woohoo, we like this, this is exciting. And can't you see how that would be so important when you're trying to be an active listener? If you are listening to a good story, you have that release of like, wow, this is exciting, I want to know more, I'm interested. And that is why the entire portion of the brain is activated. It's intrigued. It's that curiosity mindset that we're talking about. And lastly, oxytocin, that feel-good chemical, that buddy-buddy chemical. It makes you feel like the other person. It creates bonds. It creates connections. It also helps you to get in the other person's shoes, to be more empathetic. And again, it's activating the entire portion of the brain. It's helping you to really connect with somebody. So storytelling releases all of these chemicals and helps you to activate the entire portion of your brain, getting in that curiosity mindset.
Now, this is huge. When you have this complete activation, you're fully engaged in whatever the story is that you're listening to, whatever it is that you're reading. Listening to stories helps us to make sense of things. It helps us to understand what are the beliefs that are involved in a situation. What are the underlying truths that exist? It helps us to understand relationships and dynamics between people as well. But as well as it helping to give us a sense of understanding, if you think about the fact that we're listening for beliefs and truths, that's also what gets in the way. So that is our struggle too, because we already talked about this. When we hear something that doesn't align with the belief that we have, that's when we stop listening.
That's when judgments come in.
Right? That's when judgments came in. So if you didn't check out the last video on judgments, make sure to go back and watch that. So that's when the judgments creep in. You know, we also are able to speak at 225 words per minute, but we listen at 500 words per minute. So we start filling in our own internal dialogue. We start filling in the gaps that are within somebody else's story. The reality is that sometimes when we're listening to people's stories, they're not that exciting.
It's so true.
When we're talking about stories in this sense, a story could be something spectacular that happened to someone, or it could be the run-of-the-mill conversations that we're having each and every day. Why we're unable to complete treatment, why we're not brushing or flossing.
Why not flossing?
Yeah, and those become so redundant to us. We're like, you know, there's no good reason not to be flossing. And so we start to fill this in. Like, actually, if you did this, you would be able to do that. And so these are the things that get in the way from us maintaining this really curious mindset, from becoming really intrigued in someone's story to uncover what their beliefs are, what barriers exist for them. It is hard for us to get excited. But there are things that we can do to make ourselves more curious.
So boring or not, we want to ensure that we are in that curious mindset. If you are practicing active listening and you have someone in front of you and you want to know their story, you have to get into that curiosity mindset. Or like Chatsy said, you're gonna fill it in with your own stories, and then we're not actively listening. So we need to remind ourselves. Now, listening is practice. We have to practice it, and we have to be mindful of it. So we have to be aware of what we're thinking of. So every time you start to check out, you need to get yourself back into that mindset. If you ask yourself things while they're telling the story, like, I'm curious about that. I wonder how they got that information. If you say things like, that's interesting, the more that you can say that's interesting, the more dopamine that is released. So remember, that is that feel-good reward center of the brain. That creates connections and curiosity right away. Whenever you can get hit with like a good job, that's interesting, way to go, your brain says, give me more, I like this, this feels good. We love that reward center of the brain. So ask yourself or say to yourself, that's interesting. I'm curious about that. I want to know more. And the more that you say that to yourself, your brain will say, okay, well, I guess this isn't boring. We'll kind of listen to what they have to say. I'm curious about what they have to say. And you will stick with that curiosity mindset. And you'll be surprised the things that you can uncover about someone. It is amazing the moment that you start actively listening and getting into this curiosity mindset, the things that you uncover about people that you might have known for years, and you just didn't take the time to get into that curiosity mindset. So I really recommend that you get into this mode. Now, sometimes the story is so boring or so short that we have to ask more questions to better understand. And we're going to dive deeper into that in the next few videos as well. But we want to make sure that we understand how to be in a curiosity mindset first and how to check our own self so that we can stay in that mindset.
Now, the reality is that if we're not intrigued and we're not excited about the interaction, we're going to check out. So we're giving you these tools so then you can create the experience for yourself. I mean, we're not all natural born storytellers. We have listened to great speakers that are amazing at captivating audiences. And these are skills that we continue to build over time. But in our daily interactions, those aren't necessarily the stories that we're going to be hearing every single time we have a conversation. So getting yourself curious, saying, wow, that's really interesting, and looking for details to explore further or to gain a better understanding of is going to have a huge impact in helping you. And as a reminder, we're not looking for any one person's truth, because the reality is that as we delve into someone's story that they're sharing, everyone is going to carry with them their own perspective. And that's what we're looking at gaining a better understanding of.
So remember, our own stories love to get in the way. We love our own stories. So it's very important that we understand why our own stories love to pop up, why they get in the way, and how to overcome it. So make sure you continue watching the Power of Listening series so that you can overcome your own stories and be the best active listener.